3 months ago, I buried my mother. Today, I discovered she buried a knife in my back from beyond the grave. My name is Rebecca, and I'm 35 years old. For the past 6 years, I've been the daughter who showed up. The one who rearranged my entire life to care for Mom through her battle with Alzheimer's, the one who slept in hospital chairs, who quit my marketing job to become her full-time caregiver when she could no longer be left alone. My younger sister Claire, 31, lives in Los Angeles chasing her dreams as an actress. In 6 years, she visited Mom exactly 4 times. 4 times. Her last visit was 8 months ago, and she spent most of it on her phone taking calls from her agent. So you can imagine my shock when Mom's lawyer, Mr. Henderson, called me into his office today to read the will. "Rebecca, I'm sorry, but this might come as a surprise," he said, adjusting his glasses nervously. "Your mother has left the entirety of her estate, the house, her savings account containing $340,000, and all personal effects including jewelry, to Claire Morrison." The words hit me like a physical blow. "That's impossible. There must be a mistake." Henderson shook his head sympathetically. "I'm afraid not. The will was updated just 4 months before your mother's passing. She was very clear about her intentions, even had me verify her mental capacity with Dr. Reeves to ensure there could be no question of competency. 4 months ago. When Mom was having one of her rare good periods, when her mind seemed clearer than it had been in years. I remember that week, she'd seemed almost secretive, asking me to run errands that took longer than usual, making phone calls when I left the room. "But what about me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "What did she leave me?" Henderson consulted his papers. "You're mentioned in a single bequest. She's left you her collection of recipe books and a letter." Recipe books. After 6 years of sacrificing everything, my career, my marriage, my social life, I got her recipe books. I called Claire immediately from the parking lot. "Oh my God, Becca," she answered on the 4th ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "I was just about to call you. Can you believe Mom's will?" I'm still in shock. I couldn't keep the bitterness out of my voice. "You're shocked that you inherited everything despite barely speaking to her for years? I know it seems weird, but Mom wanted me to have a fresh start. She said I needed the stability more than you did." "A fresh start?" "Claire, I gave up everything to take care of her. I haven't worked in 2 years. My husband left me because I chose Mom over our marriage. What fresh start do I get?" "Becca, you're being dramatic. Mom always said you were the responsible one, that you'd be fine no matter what. I'm the one who's been struggling in LA, barely making rent." I hung up on her. The family reaction was swift and brutal. By evening, I had angry texts from our Aunt Linda and Uncle Paul, both calling me selfish and greedy for making drama, when we should be grieving together. Apparently, Claire had already reached out to them, painting herself as the victim of my jealousy. "Your mother made her choice," Aunt Linda wrote. "Accept it with grace instead of tearing the family apart." I spent that night in Mom's house, still technically mine for 30 more days before Claire took possession, reading the letter she'd left me. Asterisk. "My dearest Rebecca, by now you know about my will, and I imagine you're hurt and confused. I need you to understand that this decision wasn't made lightly, and it wasn't a reflection of my love for you. You have always been my strong one, my capable daughter who could handle anything life threw at her. Claire has always been more fragile, more in need of protection. I worried about her future in a way I never worried about yours. But there's something else, something I should have told you years ago but never found the courage. When you read this, I'll be gone, and perhaps that will make it easier. The money I'm leaving Claire isn't really mine to give. It belongs to her father. Rebecca, darling, Claire isn't your father's daughter. She's the result of an affair I had in 1992. Her biological father, Thomas Hartwell, is a wealthy businessman who never knew she existed. When I learned I was pregnant, I was terrified of losing your father and destroying our family. Thomas has no other children. Before I got sick, I hired a private investigator and learned he'd been looking for Claire for years. He'd figured out she might be his daughter but could never find concrete proof. He's worth millions, Rebecca. Millions. The inheritance I'm leaving Claire is just the beginning. I've left information in my safety deposit box at First National, box 447, key is in my jewelry box under the velvet lining, with everything she needs to claim her real birthright. DNA test results, hospital records, Thomas's contact information. I'm giving Claire my estate because I know that once she learns the truth about her father, she'll have more money than she could ever spend. But you, my darling, deserve to know that you were always my father's daughter, always the one who got his love and his name without question. I'm sorry I was too cowardly to tell you this while I was alive. I'm sorry Claire will inherit wealth she doesn't deserve while you, who sacrificed everything, get so little. But I'm hoping you'll understand. I needed to even the scales between you and Claire before she learns she's an heiress. All my love, Mom. P.S. The recipe books aren't just recipe books. Check the margins. I read the letter 3 times before it fully sank in. Claire wasn't my full sister. She was about to inherit millions from a father she never knew existed. And Mom had given her the estate as some twisted attempt at fairness. I ran to Mom's jewelry box and found the key exactly where she'd said. My hands shook as I flipped through the recipe books, and there in the margins of every page were notes, stock tips, investment advice, account numbers, passwords. Mom hadn't left me recipes. She'd left me a financial roadmap. Every margin contained years of research about investments, market predictions, business opportunities. She'd been secretly studying finance during her lucid moments, preparing to leave me something valuable even if it wasn't money. The next morning, I drove to the bank and opened the safety deposit box. Inside was a folder labeled, "For Claire," and another labeled, "For Rebecca." Claire's folder contained everything Mom had mentioned, DNA results proving Thomas Hartwell was her biological father, hospital records, even a business card for the private investigator Mom had hired. My folder contained something else entirely, documentation of a trust fund Mom had set up years ago, funded by careful investments she'd made using Dad's life insurance money. The trust matured on my 35th birthday, which was next week, and was worth $420,000. There was also a second letter, asterisk, "Rebecca, if you're reading this, you found my real gift to you. I couldn't leave you money directly because I knew Claire would contest the will if she suspected there was more. She's always been jealous of the relationship you had with your father." The recipe book margins contain 20 years of investment research. I studied every night after you went to bed, learning how to grow your father's insurance money into something substantial. The trust I set up will give you financial security, but the knowledge I've left you will make you wealthy if you're smart about it. Claire will get millions from Thomas Hartwell, but she'll never have to work for it, never have to learn its value. You'll build your wealth with your own hands and your own mind, just like your father would have wanted. I'm sorry for the deception, but I needed Claire to feel guilty enough about the inheritance that she wouldn't question it too deeply. I needed your family to think you'd been forgotten so they wouldn't pry into what else I might have left you. You were never forgotten, darling. You were just protected differently than Claire needed to be. Love always, Mom. I sat in that bank vault and cried for 20 minutes. A week later, on my 35th birthday, the trust matured and I received the first installment. That same day, I got a call from Claire, sobbing hysterically. "Becca, something insane has happened. This man called me, says he's my real father. He wants to meet me, he's rich, like really rich, and he says Mom left him information about me. I don't understand what's happening." "Where are you?" I asked. "I flew back to Portland. I'm at the house." "Becca, I'm scared. What if this is some kind of scam?" I drove over to find Claire pacing the living room, surrounded by documents and printouts she'd clearly been researching all night. "Look at this," she said, shoving papers at me. "Thomas Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Industries. Net worth $340 million. And according to these DNA results Mom left, he's my biological father." I pretended to examine the documents with surprise. "This is incredible, Claire. What are you going to do?" "I don't know. He wants to meet tomorrow. He says he's been looking for me for years." "But what does this mean about Dad? Was my whole childhood a lie?" Over the next several hours, I watched my sister grapple with the same identity crisis I'd experienced when I learned our family wasn't what I thought. The difference was that her crisis came with a $340 million inheritance. The meeting with Thomas Hartwell confirmed everything. He was a lonely widower who'd regretted losing touch with Mom 30 years ago and had spent decades wondering about the daughter he suspected he'd fathered. When Claire walked into that restaurant, the resemblance was undeniable. She had his eyes, his nose, his stubborn chin. Within a month, Claire was living in a penthouse Thomas had bought for her in downtown Portland, driving a Tesla, and planning her move back to LA with enough money to fund her acting career properly. "I can't believe this is my life now," she told me over lunch at an expensive restaurant I could never have afforded before my trust fund kicked in. "I keep waiting to wake up. Are you happy?" I asked. She paused, looking out at the city skyline. "I think so. It's weird, you know? I spent so long struggling, and now I have everything I thought I wanted. But I also feel guilty." "Guilty? About Mom's inheritance?" "I know you deserved it more than I did. You took care of her, and I was selfish. I was building my career while you sacrificed yours. I could have told her the truth then. Could have revealed that Mom's plan had been far more complex and fair than either of us realized. Instead, I said, Mom made her choices, we both got what she thought we needed." 6 months later, Claire has moved back to LA with a trust fund that makes her wealthier than most celebrities she's trying to become. She's producing her own films now, investing in other actors' projects, living the life she always dreamed of. I used Mom's investment research to grow my trust fund into something substantial. I started a consulting business helping other caregivers navigate the financial challenges of caring for aging parents. I'm making more money now than I ever did in marketing, and it's work that actually matters. But the family relationships never fully recovered. Aunt Linda and Uncle Paul still treat me like the greedy daughter who couldn't accept her mother's wishes gracefully. They have no idea that I ended up with almost as much money as Claire, just through a more complicated route. The strangest part is that I understand Mom's deception now. She couldn't have left us equal amounts directly. Claire would have been suspicious, the family would have questioned it, and Claire's inheritance from her biological father might have been compromised if Thomas thought she was already wealthy. Instead, Mom orchestrated an elaborate performance where I appeared to be the forgotten daughter while actually receiving exactly what I needed: financial security and the knowledge to build real, lasting wealth. But understanding her reasoning doesn't erase the pain of those first few days, when I thought 6 years of sacrifice had been dismissed as worthless. It doesn't undo the damage to family relationships or the humiliation of being seen as the bitter, greedy sister. Sometimes I wonder if Mom's plan was worth all the collateral damage it caused. Would it have been better to just split everything equally and let the chips fall where they may? Other times, I look at my growing business and my financial independence, both built on Mom's hidden lessons, and I think maybe she knew exactly what she was doing. Maybe she understood that Claire needed a windfall while I needed to learn how to build wealth myself. The recipe books still sit on my kitchen counter. I use them sometimes, but mostly I flip through the margins, reading Mom's notes about compound interest and market analysis. Her final gift wasn't money, it was teaching me how to never need anyone else's money again. Claire calls occasionally from her new life. We're still sisters, still care about each other, but there's a distance now that wasn't there before. Too many secrets, too much hidden manipulation, even if it was done out of love. I've never told her about the trust fund or the real reason Mom left her the estate. Some secrets are meant to stay buried, and some family dramas are too complicated to untangle without destroying what little remains. But I'm curious about your situation. Have you ever discovered that a family member's seemingly unfair decision was actually part of a larger plan you couldn't see? Do you think parents have the right to orchestrate their children's futures from beyond the grave, even with good intentions? And if you learned that an inheritance you resented was actually part of a more complex scheme to help you, would that change how you felt about it? What would you do if you discovered your family's biggest betrayal was actually their most complicated gift?